Not all superheroes wear capes. Some wear wellies. Wellies.
Lovely. You're happy to go?
I'm ready to rock and roll.
No bother at all. We have a wonderful guest here with us this evening. I know her as PR, but a lot of you might know her by her real name or full name or her pseudonyms, but she is part of the team that runs Off-Grid Ireland, which is probably one of the largest alternative kind of online community groups that's operating in Ireland at the moment, and they're at the very forefront of standing up for issues with regard to Irish sovereignty, and and they're doing an awful lot of good work. So PR, you're very welcome.
Oh, James, thanks very much. It's an honour to be on your show. I really am looking forward to this.
Well, it's the start of something. We're hoping that there'll be something to it, that we'll be able to get lots of opinions out to people, and I can't say how thankful I am for you being here this evening, because one of the things that I made an attempt to stand up for this country, but when I was in court the first days, you were there and other people here are close enough, and you really get to know who your friends are when your back is against the wall, and I appreciate that you were there.
Not
I really do.
Not at all, James. The thing is, we have to support one another through thick and thin, and I'm all for supporting people, that are trying to make a difference in this country. I suppose I could talk a little bit about Off-Grid Ireland.
Yeah, and you can tell us about exactly what they do.
Yeah, I will. And first and foremost, Off-Grid Ireland is Gavon. Gavon set up Off-Grid Ireland as a kind of it kind of came about through Ireland on lockdown. A lot of people felt they were a little bit censored during that time period, during 2020, during those dark times. And Gavon set up a Telegram channel called Off-Grid Ireland, with basically a free speech platform where people could come on, have their say, and, create a unified front where people could talk about the issues that's important to them and be in a supportive environment as well. So the channel has gone on from strength to strength, and we've had numerous podcasts. We had an interview last night on the X Spaces. I hate calling it X. I still remember this Twitter. But we had Richard Vobes on last night, and we've had a myriad of different people on all through the last 2 years. Gavon really is at the helm, and it's through him that I'm on here tonight. He gave me the courage to speak out. I've always spoken out, but I never had the courage to speak out publicly. But Gavon gave me the courage to speak out and to stand on my truths. And I just want to as well acknowledge Gavon's work. Gavon has placed himself on the line. We've had death threats, both myself and Gavon. Gavon also has been publicly doxxed. His family has been doxxed on national media, on Facebook, whatever, and this is what happens when, good people stand up when they are concerned about the situation that's going on in our country. I'm an ethno-nationalist. I have a love of my land. I have a love of our traditions, our people, and I'm very, very concerned about the direction our country is going. I do not feel those that are in the corridors of power in Kildare Street are working in the benefit of the Irish people, and that's why I'm here today, James. I really need to bang home to the ordinary person, here in Ireland, that things are not okay in this country, and it's okay to say it isn't, and to stand up and challenge people that have that power, like our TDs, our ministers, and challenge them. And it's fantastic that you have this platform to start the conversation going. And I do feel that we are the media now, Off-Grid Ireland and other platforms on Telegram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever they may be, the good people from all the different groups that are speaking out. We are the media, and our message is getting out there.
Yeah.
And we continue to push that message out there.
But I think people would be, not all of them would be surprised, but, there's an awful lot of people who do realise what's going on. But as I was talking to the first guest we had on here, Morris, about the same thing. It's kind of a hamster wheel that you have the mortgage, you have the payments, all the rest of it, and what they're doing is not speaking their mind. They're holding their opinion to themselves, and there should be an awful lot more people standing up to this. But they've just they've taken a kind of a line of thinking that if I keep my head down, perhaps it'll go away, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to get a lot worse.
I'll just jump in there, James. The thing is, platforms like yours now that you're starting, and Off-Grid Ireland and all the other platforms, all the members are ordinary people. None of us come from a corporate position. We're just ordinary people, and we're speaking out. And we're pushing the message that, it's a people's movement. You have to call it out.
Yeah.
And yes, there is a huge cohort of people in this country. I talk to them daily. They see what's going on. But when you ask them, well, why aren't you speaking out? They're leaving it to other people to do. And the thing is, we need everybody on board.
I don't think a lot of people as well, you'd be familiar with it because you're involved in the running of a channel, but there are dedicated trolls paid for. They're on a wage to do this, and they go around on all of these channels and they put up comments that have no context. A lot of the time it's complete and utter falsehood what they're writing, and the same names appear on all of the channels. They're never their own names, they're pseudonyms, they're faceless characters. There's a huge level of infiltration in what's described as right-wing groups, but they're not really right-wing, they're just people who have an alternative opinion to the government.
Exactly.
And that's all you need now to be described as right-wing, is if you're not wholesalely for a kind of fair left agenda, you're right-wing. And the middle class would want to waken up to that pretty quickly, because positions that were normal for years are now being described as right. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, James, you have to understand, our message is getting out there.
Yeah.
People are seeing our message. They have become familiar with a lot of people that are standing up, and the government knows that they're losing. We have our own media. We have our own candidates now at the moment that are running in the next election. We have our own people that are doing natural medicine. We have our own alternative movement going. We also are in charge of the information war. As much as the government think that they are winning, they're not. They're losing. And what they do is they send in people to discredit the members that have a strong voice, that people warm to, that people will, gravitate to.
Yeah.
And we've witnessed it quite evidently on our channel, even from, long-standing members on our channel who we thought were on our side. And I do think there is one individual in this country as well. She's an established person, and she has done untold damage to our movement in the country by creating a sense of infiltration. and discredited an awful lot of good people within the movement.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about,
Yes,
and
yes.
it's even I was
Yes,
the same
of course you are.
individual. Yeah,
Yes. Well, she's look at the thing. The thing is, okay, you cannot allow that to stop you.
no.
My face is on here.
Mm-hmm.
My name is behind the channel with Gavon. No more than Gavon as well. Gavon, everything of Gavon's life is out there in the public domain. Not that he wanted it in the public domain, but they chose to bring it to the public domain. We also have other members as well who have spoken out, you know, and had a huge following, and they were targeted. Their house was targeted, and you know, other different things, and that's how that's what the government does to intimidate people that are bringing the truth to the ordinary person on the street. And you have it on all of the channels. You have these hidden profiles. There's no name to them, and they've called me a guard. They've called me, you know, every name under the sun. But I'm still here. I'm still telling the truth. I'm just saying it as it is, and I won't stop. I will never stop. You know, and that's where I am.
Well, fair play to you, but that's one thing that I've always put me name to me opinion. Do you know? And you might like it, you mightn't like it, but I think far too much credence is paid to people who are using, you know, pseudonyms, faceless accounts, all the rest of it. There is a degree of anonymity that you should be able to preserve, you know, privacy and anonymity and all that. Yeah. But I know that there are people who are running 7 to 8 accounts for the left.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, absolutely, 100%.
You know, there's one person in particular in this country who's doing an extraordinary amount of damage, and I won't name her, but I'm fully aware of her.
Yes.
But
she has created a situation now where a lot of people don't know what's real.
Yeah.
And you have people then that are devoted followers of her that will, anything that happens in the country, they'll question it and they'll debunk it straight away. And look, we have a critical eye. Something happens, we go through it, we dissect it, we look at it all angles. Do you know what I mean? But you cannot just call everything a psyop. Everything is not a psyop.
No.
And for an individual to call everything in this country a psyop is a huge disservice to the good people that are speaking out here in the country.
Well, one of the things that I noticed is as you had all of these groups around the country, the Says No groups, do you know, they were protesting outside iPad centres and all that. Nearly every local movement that started, there was this same line that was, if people from outside areas came down to support it, that they were to be viewed with suspicion, that they were to be viewed as butting in where they weren't needed. Like I seen, I won't talk too much about Ballard because it's too much. There's too many stories on it now to know which one is the.
Yeah.
But I do that Dwyer man, the Philip.
Yeah.
And a local says to him, "You're not from here." Well, I'm very sorry, mate, but half your bloody town isn't from there at this stage. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can't help but think that there's an awful. It's what I call the do-gooder, the candlelit village.
Yes.
Do you know, if something happens, all the do-gooders come together and they walk up the town, they light candles, and then it's over.
Yeah. But getting back to your point of the different groups around the country not wanting, outsiders in. The thing is, we are all in this together. We are all Irish.
That's right.
We're all community members. Because it's happening to your community at this time doesn't mean that we haven't gone through it or that we're not going to be coming into it in the near future. So we all have skin in the game. We all have a concern what's going on in your village, your town.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And, this has to stop. We all want this country. We want our people. We want our communities, our villages thriving. We do not want them living in fear and being absolutely overrun by people who do not have the same culture as us. They do not identify with our values, and they're quite hostile. Some of them are quite hostile when they come here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And, none of the villages have been asked. None of the communities have been asked, we're going to be bringing these people in. They're just completely railroaded.
Yeah.
And it's an insult to every person here in this land. And I think it was Leo Varadkar that came out and said that nobody has the jurisdiction on who lives beside them. Jurisdiction is the wrong word, but
yeah.
I can't think exactly word verbatim
yeah.
what he said. But basically, in a roundabout way, he said, you do not have the say who lives next to you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Well, I think a community does. They have concerns, safety, cultural values. Are these people going to assimilate into our community? I'm living on the outskirts of Balladreen, all my life, and I can tell you right now, these people are not assimilating into our culture. Yes, there is a portion of them that are,
mm-hmm.
but the majority of them aren't. Our town is dirty, and they have no pride in looking after their properties. I mean, you saw the footage online with nappies and rubbish thrown outside the house that literally covered the first floor level of a house with rubbish. I mean, that's disgusting. And, local neighbours who take pride in their properties are living next door to that. And when they voice a concern, it falls on deaf ears,
Yeah.
So the thing is, everybody has a concern. If something is happening in a community in Cork, in a community in Waterford, in a community in Sligo, we all have concerns.
Yeah.
We are of this land, and if what happens to Cork happens to us in Mayo.
Yeah.
So we all have a concern here of what's going on.
But when it's the point of assimilation and that too, I would be of the opinion that if you have a relatively low rate of inward immigration, where you have a visa scheme for jobs that you require or anything like that, you do have the opportunity then for assimilation. But if you have a mass movement, what happens is, and you see, the Irish, I can't understand why we can't figure this out. Areas of Boston, New York, London were primarily Irish. It wasn't an assimilation, it was that we took over
Yes.
that block.
Yeah.
So you take Cricklewood or Kilburn or
Yeah.
that. It's a bit of a stretch to say that we assimilated into the community. We didn't. We took over.
Yeah, but
a
we
bit-
weren't given.
Oh no, I'm
any
not. No, I'm not falling into that.
No, but-
we went over there. We
Yeah.
worked. We found our own resources. All
Yes.
of that. But the point that I'm making is, this is a kind of ludicrous point to say that we blended into the community seamlessly, that there was no problems or that. What you found was there was areas that were primarily occupied by
Yeah.
the Irish. They dealt amongst themselves to a great extent.
Yes.
And then we think that something different is going to happen in our own country. I think that's farcical.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
no,
we were of
yeah.
benefit.
Yeah.
The amount of work that was done. I don't want anyone thinking, we've done it ourselves. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, even if we look at our own history of immigration, it wasn't an immigration of total assimilation. It takes
Yes.
a couple of generations
Yes,
for
of
this
course
to
it does.
occur.
Of course it does.
And if you go back on the historical context of it too, we weren't welcomed with open arms.
No.
There was
no black, no dogs, and no Irish.
Yeah, and there was no, there was nobody giving housing. There was nobody giving the leg up.
No.
You got there and you had to find your own employment and your own housing. And, I can't get my head around what we're doing at the moment. Like when Ballahadreen originally got the
Syrians.
The Syrians.
Yeah.
I went on Ocean FM, it was at the time, and I said, Bala doesn't have the doctors nor the school places. And I was called racist.
Yeah.
Now, I ended up, funnily enough, working with a Syrian fella in a meat factory or that, and I got on perfectly all right with him.
Yeah.
But he told me the same thing, that there was no services.
Yeah.
So why are we making out that we're doing something fantastic when there's no services for anybody?
What I'd like to know as well is, we're taking all these doctors and engineers from those countries. Surely we should be trying to be, building up their country. Why are we taking all the doctors and engineers away from those sub-Saharan countries?
Well, it'd be a very interesting point to put to governments about how their policies, how their own policies have destroyed their economies. So if you take a simple thing like the CAP reform, the Common Agricultural Policy, years ago the EU were funding projects in Africa to build creameries where small farmers could bring their can of milk to the creamery and sell it and keep a cow and milk the cow and bring it to the creamery. And then we got rid of quota. So we had all this extra milk. So they said, what are we going to do with this extra milk? We'll put it in bags and we'll send it to Africa. So we undermined their local dairy industry that we were selling our milk powder for a quarter of the price that they could produce it. Yeah. So we have on one side the EU who are saying, oh, well, we need to help these people. Well, why then did you destroy their local economy? You know, if you wanted to help them, a very simple thing as well, the textile industry is one of the foundational industries in any economy, is the making of clothes.
Yeah.
Well, who's going to open a clothes shop when the Western world sends all of their old clothes for pennies?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not going to see an African fashion industry sprout or come out of Africa whilst we're thronging them with second-hand clothes from the Western world. You know, there's all these things that are being done by very, very wealthy individuals to undermine the African economy.
Yeah.
And then they're in favour of immigration because they can make money on that side of it too. So they're making money by undermining their economy, and then they're making money by the end result, which is them leaving
the country. Yeah.
You see,
absolutely.
But one of the things that I think is blatantly clear, and it's coming up to an election now. When this is broadcast, the election will probably be over, so I don't know how it's going to go or that. But the sheer ineptitude of the politicians that are going to election is frightening. It's absolutely frightening.
Well, to be honest, we no longer have statesmen and stateswomen representing us anymore. We have a bunch of charlatans. Yeah. If I gave a portfolio to yourself or to a man on the street, they'd do a better job than what these guys are. And you know, the whole system is absolutely rotten from the core. And it's not just those and TDs and the Dáil and that. We're also looking at top civil servants as well. There needs to be eyes looking at them as well, because they're the ones really that are formulating all of these policies behind the door. Do you know what I mean? So they're the ones that need to be looked at. Who are these people? And do they have vested interests? You know, these are the questions that need to be asked.
Well, there's certainly, you know, I don't think an awful lot of the Irish population realise the extent of corruption in this country.
No.
And I'm talking, it's from top to bottom.
But do you think though, James, that maybe people do know, you know, there's always jokes like, oh, throw me a brown envelope. Do you know, there's always kind of this kind of joking around like, oh,
Yeah.
pass me the brown envelope and that. So people are aware of the brown envelopes that, you
Yeah,
know,
but I think what they mightn't be aware of is how many people in your community are involved in it.
Oh no! Oh, absolutely, 100%. See, the thing is, we have to take some of the blame ourselves. Okay?
Well, we've turned a blind eye to it,
because I firmly believe freedom is not earned. Okay, you have to earn freedom. Oh, no, did I say that wrong?
That's all right.
You have to earn freedom.
Yeah, it's not granted. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not granted. And the thing is, we've lived quite a number of years where we were living in, you know, somewhat of prosperity. So we allowed these individuals to take care of, you know, the state's affairs, you know, local government affairs, because we were too busy paying our mortgage, too busy living our own lives. We didn't want to be bothered with that stuff. But they then became aware of that. So that was their opportunity then to start doing what they're doing today. Plus, as well, you're looking at Europe. Since we joined the EU, it has been the downfall of this country, an absolute downfall of this country. Initially, we joined the common EU market. That was basically to be a trade benefit, so we could trade our exports, you know, favourably within that common market. But now we're in the EU, and basically our government are taking directions from Europe. And you can challenge me on that all you want, but that's what's happening. They're not there to be of benefit to an Irish person, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, no, I think it's kind of metamorphosized that, as you says, it started off as an economic trading bloc.
Yes.
Now you're moving into realms of, you know, policy with regards to health, then defence. Like it's almost as if Europe now wants to be a United States of Europe.
Exactly.
But unlike America, where the state has an individual legislator and they don't always have to follow what comes from the federal, in Europe, you have to or you're fined, which is a ridiculous notion, because you take Ireland, for instance, and the peat bogs and the turf burning.
Yeah.
Ireland was one of the very few countries in Europe that still had bogland, that still had, you know, people. And this is what I'll say to anyone with regards to turf. The government are not one bit concerned about carbon and turf.
Not at all.
What they're concerned about is that you're not paying tax on it, and also that you have your own ability to heat yourself.
You don't need the government.
Yes. Yeah.
The government wants everyone in this country reliant on them. That's what they want.
You see, that'll be my fundamental point. And a lot of people just say to me, you know, boil down what you, and we have traded, you know, convenience for liberty.
Yes.
If you're in a situation where you have direct knowledge or grasp of how to feed yourself, where your water, where your energy comes from, if you have a direct line to all of that isn't interrupted by a state agency, then the state doesn't affect your life as much.
Exactly.
Now, why in the past 30, 20 years have people become so disgruntled with government, so disgruntled with state decisions, all the rest of it? It's because fundamentally in the last 20 or 30 years, the government has stepped in to an awful lot of things that they were never involved with before.
That's one question, but the other question is why the acceptance? Why do we just accept it? Yeah. You know, is it a lack of education, like we spoke before? Is it a lack of knowledge about politics? You know,
I don't think it's a lack of education, but I think it's just, you know, it's giving in to convenience.
Yeah.
Like, it's a simple thing. The Gardaí, do you know? What are the Gardaí? Well, basically, it's communities saying you're responsible for my defence.
Yeah. The safety of my community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas I would argue years ago, there was a lot of communities that didn't need a guard.
Yeah, the police themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that goes as well for urban areas as rural areas.
Absolutely, 100%.
And there was an awful lot of Gardaí who quite literally knew they knew.
Don't go near. They're able to handle business themselves.
Well, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
There was Gardaí who landed out with the notebook after the event had occurred.
Yeah.
And you're going back to a time in Ireland where the crime figures are. You go back to the 60s or 70s. You had a character like Lugs Brannigan who was.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
The riot squad was 4.
Yeah.
There were 4 men on it.
Yeah.
So it's a different. So we were at marches down in Dublin.
Yeah.
And how much the riot squad has expanded is frightening.
Oh, it is, of course, yeah. They're the jackboot of the state.
Yeah.
They're there to crush you. That's it. Once they have the directive to clear the street, they're clearing that street. It doesn't matter if you're an old man, an old woman, whatever, man, woman, or child. They're given a directive, and that's it. And they will do that, and be under no illusions otherwise. We had a situation back there, I think it was in the early 80s, outside the British Embassy, where there was a huge protest outside the British Embassy, and the guards found it very, very hard to hold that crowd back. And they sent a word to the army that they needed them down straight away. So the army came down, and the army were there. And the guard said to him, "We can't hold these crowds, they're going absolutely nuts, absolutely wild." And he said to them, "Do you want us to go in?" And he goes, "Well, I'm thinking you will." And he said, "Well, if we go in, there will be blood spilt in the street, because we're the army, and basically we will use deadly force. We're there. We're carrying weapons." And the guard got such a fright. He's like, let me talk to the lads. Let's 1 second. Let me try one more try. The man said, "You didn't get us down here now for the good of our health. If we're going in here today, make no mistake, that's what's going to happen here. This protest will be gone. We're going in, and we're given a directive now to clear that, and we'll clear it. That's it. We're carrying weapons here, live rounds." So the guard, whatever he said to his colleagues on that front of that protest, they held that crowd back, and the crowd dissipated. But that's how close we came to having a serious incident. People seem to forget that. How close. The government has the monopoly on violence.
Yeah.
And they're only too happy to engage in that.
Yes.
Only too happy to engage in it.
Well, I think, I'm going to say it to you, one of the things that anyone who has any bit of critical thinking at all, so we're meant to be in an economy that's doing well. Most people are not doing well. Most people are just getting by.
Yeah.
But the government propaganda is saying that people are doing well. And you have marches, you have communities who are being, having to take in all these people. What's going to happen when the government can no longer say we have an economy that's doing well?
Well,
because that's coming very shortly.
Yeah, well, what's going to happen is they're not going to be able to pay a large cohort of society. And they're going to be extremely angry, and they're going to be on the streets. There's going to be chaos, absolute chaos.
Have you seen this this minister or executive of commerce that Trump has elected? Have you seen him?
Who are they? You'd have to name them out to me.
So I have them here. I've been sending I've been sending these texts to a few people that I get on. Howard Lutnick is his name.
Right.
Now, Howard Lutnick is a billionaire who has written a series of papers and books called Treasure Islands. And he has Ireland wholesalely in his sights. Because, the ordinary person has to realise that our economy is only functioning at the moment because of tax fiddles. That's where the vast majority...
And it's only functioning as well because we have these American multinationals in here as well. And once they're gone, if Trump decides that he's going to put tariffs on them, they're not going to see it viable here. So they're going to skedaddle.
It's not only the tariff. It's very well documented what happens with a lot of pharmaceutical companies, and that is that the product is manufactured in Ireland.
Yeah.
And then it is sold to the American subsidiary company. So the product could cost 30 cents in Ireland.
Yeah.
But that original company will sell it to $10 to the subsidiary company, who will then sell it at maybe 11 or 12 in America.
Yeah.
Meaning that the vast majority of profit was made in Ireland.
Yeah.
The lower corporation tax then is applicable.
Exactly. Yeah.
What these men are discussing is putting an end to that completely.
Yeah.
Now, if that happens, you are going to see war on the streets in this country.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's going to be complete societal breakdown because
we've had the Apple tax decision was made in 2016.
Yeah.
There was plenty of very, very intelligent people before that, like Seamus May and that, who were speaking out well before that decision in 2016. I spoke up a bit about that in 2016. If we had a government at the time who had any wit about them, they would say, this is coming to an end. We really need to invest now in indigenous businesses, in indigenous people coming up with good new businesses, good new brands, and staying in Ireland.
Yeah, and we need to be self-sufficient. We need to get back to an environment where the country is self-sufficient as well.
Well, instead of that, what we've done is we've created a situation where we have imported a vast array of people who are going to be a drain on the state because, I hate to say it, you can't tell me for a decade that we're a knowledge economy and then bring in people who have absolutely no English. A lot of them are illiterate. Yeah. How do you mean to assimilate someone like that into a knowledge economy? You can't.
Yeah.
It's impossible to.
Yeah.
And to be honest about it, it's a bit cruel. It's a little bit cruel to advertise to the world Ireland is booming, all the rest of it, and then someone takes an arduous journey, lands here. Okay, Ireland's booming. What do I do? You stay in that hotel room and we'll feed you and you can wander the street for the day. How does that suit you? You know?
Yeah.
Like that messaging that Roderick O'Gorman did, that is treason.
No, well, sure, the whole government have committed treason as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's not going to get us anywhere. The thing is, okay, this notion that the economy is booming, you just have to go to every town and village, or, well, every town here up and down the west coast of Ireland, seeing that we're both from that neck of the woods. You see shops boarded up, you see cafes closed, you see pubs closed.
Yes.
There's absolutely no creative thinking. There's no vision for the future. I haven't seen any vision for the future that has the Irish best interests at heart in any policy that this government or the government beforehand as well have published. Absolutely nothing. It's absolutely shocking what's going on here. How people are supposed to try and keep a business going when they have rates to pay, they have electricity, they have rent. I know a girl there, she opened up a shop in Swinford, a small little beautician shop. She's paying 1900 euros in rates. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a small little beauty shop. And I mean, you're talking about she's rent to pay on top of that. She's electricity to pay on that. She's products to have in the salon, and she has staff. How is somebody like that, who is trying to do better for herself and for her employees, how would they supposed to thrive in an economy where everything is stacked against them? They're getting absolutely crucified. It's shocking.
Well, there's another side to it too. Is there's a complete and utter hammering on anybody who tries to do anything. Like here at the farm, we went on a website called Pitch Up, which was basically a listing, so much per night to camp. It wasn't up 2 or 3 months. The council were out saying we needed planning permission to open a gate.
Yeah. But see, there's obstacles put at every opportunity. You only have to see that poor man, I think it was down in Tipperary, he put up a log cabin and he has to get rid of it. I don't know how that's ended, if he's in court again or how it got resolved, but every obstacle the state can put on you, they will.
Can I ask you on that though? Where were all these advocates who were looking for the right to housing and everyone is entitled to a house with that man's case?
Well, it's only a right to housing if you're a certain demographic, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because that's what it seems to be. You have all of these virtual signalers, out and about waving their little flags every weekend or every few weekends, all for the different equality, but yet there's our own homeless on the street, and there isn't a mention. They'll walk over them on the street to go on virtual signal for Palestine or for wherever, and our own people are lying there on the ground. They have no concern about. And when you have those tents that they put up there along the canals. Somebody asked one of them, could they have a tent there? There was a man, his tent was torn up the night before, and they wouldn't give him one. I mean, come on, like, is he not in need of a warm tent no more than the other ones that are coming in?
Well, you see, this is where I think we're on. I actually, for a long time, I thought it was very hopeless, and I still, to some regard, think there's going to be a situation of that. But I can't help but think that it's like watching a train crash.
It is, yeah.
And, we are warning everyone about the train crash. But there is a part of me that says, well, once the train crash occurs, they're actually going to turn to the people who warned them about it and said, how do we sort this out? Now, the trouble is, it's going to be a bit late then.
Yeah.
But there is things that can be sorted. Do you know? So America has voted in Trump. Some people might like him, other people might not like him. But what he intends to do is put the self-interest of America to the
America
very
first.
Exactly.
America first, yeah.
That means bringing jobs back to America. It also means all these tax loopholes are going to be closed up.
Yeah.
That leaves Ireland
very vulnerable.
Very vulnerable. Now let's look to Europe.
Yeah.
Germany's government are after collapsing because Germany is in recession. They can't even deny that they're in recession.
Yeah.
Germany is moving towards the right with the AfD, the Alternative for Deutschland.
Yes.
France is moving towards Le Pen, which is again the right. Hungary has Viktor Orban.
And Romania.
And Poland.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, here you have Ireland left in the middle with a left-wing policy that the rest of the Western world is no longer interested in.
Yeah.
Like one of the things, and a lot of people would want to look at it, is all of these Democrats and stuff like that who had their pronouns on their bios in Twitter, X. All of a sudden, they're no longer making a deal of it. They're no longer publishing it because they know that the pendulum has swung. Now, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, they haven't realised yet that the pendulum has swung. And I think it's going to be to their detriment that it'll be too late when they finally realise it. Do you know?
Well, that's because they're not statesmen and stateswomen. They're not looking for the betterment of their own people. And that's why we're last in class to all of these different things. As you said, Hungary's top of the class. You have the Germans, the Swedish, all of these people are starting to think out of the box now that the old system isn't working. But we're still going full hog ahead, no more than the gang in England as well. There's just absolutely nothing. I have no words for what's going on up there in Kildare Street, but it just has to be clean out. I mean, it's going to get to the stage here in Ireland where, you know, good people are going to have to do bad things. And I hate saying that. You know, I really hate saying that.
Well, I think it's inevitable.
Yeah.
And you see,
you can smell it in the air. You can literally smell it in the air. I mean,
I have to be very careful.
I know. I have to be careful myself.
Yeah. Well,
I know.
My thing with it is, I really reckon it's a tinderbox, and the only thing that is holding a lot of men and women that they don't act at the moment is the job. I can afford the rent this month.
Yeah.
I have a couple of kids there. If we go into this economic period where the promises that were made are broken, and I have listened to Harris and Micheál Martin and all of these people, and what they are promising is impossible.
Yeah.
You are looking at a European environment where Ireland's capabilities and that are being closed in on. America the same.
Yeah.
We're a one-trick pony. You bring the business here, and we will allow you to avoid tax in exchange for good paying jobs. That was the trick. Now you're moving into a period of AI and robotics and stuff like that. So, very interesting one. There's Facebook, massive employer in Dublin.
Yeah.
Facebook was also in London.
Yeah.
They closed. It was remote working. Why do they remain open in Dublin? It's because someone from our government says, listen, you're doing a tax fiddle. Keep the office open.
Exactly.
Keep the thing propped up.
Yeah.
Well, when you can no longer do the tax fiddle, all of them companies are going to be gone. You are going to look at massive areas of commercial real estate in Dublin and Limerick and Galway and these places with absolutely no companies in them. And
we've nothing to fall back on. There's
no, we don't.
Indigenous business here now. The farming is in tatters. The farming industry here is in tatters.
It is, and the other side of it, the prices at the moment are relatively good.
Good, yeah, yeah.
And people aren't realising that there's no fallback because they think I'm getting a good price. They're not thinking about the currency devaluing or that. But one of the interesting things, and an awful lot of Irish people are going to wake up to it, at the moment, there's a lot of the lower paid jobs that some of the new migrants are taking.
Yeah.
You know, shops.
Yes, retail. Yeah.
Retail, nursing homes,
yeah.
all the rest of it. There's going to be a hell of a lot of well-paid Irish people who are just about to lose their job.
Yeah.
And what they don't realise is there's no lesser paid job to fall back on.
Yeah, because they're gone.
They've been
they're
filled.
Gone. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
And, you know...
That's going to breed resentment as well, you know.
It is, but you see, people might depict me as a racist or that. I actually don't have a problem.
I'm a realist.
Yeah, I'm
a realist.
I was a migrant myself. I went to England. Whilst I was there, I worked very hard.
Yeah.
I made a few pounds. Happy out. But what I'm looking at now is a situation where, you know, it's like the government are building their own bonfire.
Yeah.
They just don't want to admit it. And then every so often they throw a bit of diesel on it. Yeah. All that's missing at the moment is the spark.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, look at, you know, we're facing into some really, really dark times, but I do think there's a lot of positivity as well.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of good people that are standing up and highlighting what's going on in the country. We have a lot of members around the country that are, you know, they're homesteading, they're setting up farmers markets, they're setting up alternative systems where they don't need the state.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And, you know, the thing is that we need to start looking within our own household, as in, you know, we need to start supporting these businesses. You know, there's people putting themselves on the line. There's farmers putting themselves on the line. There's natural health practitioners putting themselves on the line. We need to be supporting them. Stop supporting the supermarkets. Stop supporting these businesses, these corporate entities that don't have your concern at heart. Your neighbour down the road who's doing farming and he's opened up a little shop in town, that's who you need to be going to. Because you know when things get tough, he's the man that's going to be looking after you. These Lidls and Aldis and all of that, they'll just jump shop if things get bad here or things go downhill. Like they're not gonna be looking after you. Do you know what I mean?
Do you not feel that the Lidls and Aldi are going to be part of the whole control going forward?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Like you're going to start seeing cashless societies eventually come in here. You know, you're going to start seeing less staff in the shops. They're going to have these robotics going around, robots, whatever you want to call them, zooming up and down the aisleway. You're not going to see staff in a few years' time. I mean, you look at Tesco there, well, it's not just Tesco, but all of these different companies now, like you have to sign up to an app to go into the supermarket to get, you know, a favourable price on the produce. If you don't have that app, you have to pay full whack for the goods in there. It's you know, all of these are working, you know, for the corporate body. They're all part of it. They're all bringing in foods as well. I'm sure you all seen their Lidl and the different entities bringing in crickets and all the different foods there.
The insect thing is being pushed by the World Economic Forum to
well, yeah, but the supermarkets are bringing it in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and you just have to look at the food products as well. They're spraying. All of our foods are completely sprayed. Like, we need to get back to basics. You just look at the Irish population now. You have a rise of Crohn's disease. You have all the different you know, illnesses that crop about from the foods that we're eating.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You go back 100 years ago. Didn't have this. We were eating, you know, ordinary food that we grew within season. So whatever was in season, like let's say in October, you had the turnips. Once the first frost hit, you had the turnips, you had the potatoes, you had the bit of meat. You know, you had the raw milk. The cows were coming to the end of their milking cycle. So you had the bit of the raw milk, and then, you know, in springtime, then you had the spring, you know, the spring vegetables coming up, you know. So people ate the foods within the season, and it kept them healthy.
Yeah.
Nowadays we're eating Chinese food, we're eating Indian food, we're eating pasta, we're eating foods not native to our culture. Do you know what I mean? And it's completely destroying our health. Because a lot of these foods are full of additives, they're full of preservatives, they're full of, you know, all of these different things that are not good for our health, you know.
There's another aspect of it too, is that, you know, with regards to honey or that, if you get honey from your own area,
yes,
it helps you with allergens from your own area.
Absolutely, 100%.
And that goes further than that, because if you're growing food from your own area, it's from the biome of your area.
Of your area, 100% correct.
And you see, people, you know, not only is locally produced food good for your local economy, it's very good for your health.
Absolutely, 100%.
Like, a lot of people would want to come to the realization, you know, I always talk to my granddad or that, you know, 10 or 12 kids, the wife didn't have to work, do you know? He was the farmer.
Well, I read somewhere, James, back in the day, that a family unit were able to have 10, 12, 14 kids.
Yeah.
The wife was at home all the time.
Yeah.
The man was able to go out to work for whatever amount of time, and they were able to afford the house, keep the family going in food. They mightn't have had a lot,
Yeah.
but they were all together. They all had their meals together in the evening time, and they were all happy. And the parents were able to instill their cultural values, their spiritual values, among their children. And those children then went on to be success. They went on to college. They went abroad. They were successful people.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Like, there's another-
Years ago, though, lots of people grew their own food
Grew
as
their
well.
own food, yes.
With this weather that we're having and the change in weather, it's getting harder and harder. What do you make of the weather?
Well, you only just have to look at the sky. You look at the sky, one day you might have a whole figurine of X's and O's in the sky. That's mad. I don't know any clouds that do X's and O's. During the summertime, we had grey, especially in Mayo. We had a film of grey in the sky, and you could actually see the sun trying its best to burst through this grey film that was up in the sky. You have planes going by the sky morning, noon and night, and they're spraying a thing called chemtrails. And in the chemtrails is chemicals that are basically affecting, modifying the weather. They're also spraying down on the earth, down on top of us, down on top of our livestock, down on top of the land, and it's not good. And when you call that out, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Well, see, a lot of people, if you have a difference of opinion at all, they refer to you as a conspiracy theorist. But the strange thing to me is that if you go back to, the false flag events that started the Korean, Vietnam War,
Yeah.
they were all conspiracy theories at the time. And it seems to me that you just need a decade or two for people to go, oh, it wasn't conspiracy, it was actually what was going on. I think they got badly caught out with that place in the Middle East. Was it Saudi or one of them places?
Yeah,
where
they did. Yeah, they overused it. They overused it.
Yeah.
And it created huge floods.
That's right. Now,
Absolutely, yeah.
when
But you just look at Spain. You just look at Spain, or not Spain. The Appalachian Mountains there in America, about a month and a half ago.
Mhm.
I mean, whoever heard of the carry-on up there in the mountains?
But I think you'll find there's probably a rich reserve of minerals under that.
Well, yes, lithium.
Oh, for the batteries. Oh,
Yes,
that's convenient, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's a good job. That
lithium
happened,
was found there, and the whole complete villages there were absolutely wiped out.
Yeah.
And
Well, there's a thing that's going on now at the moment. You know, the Amish.
the Amish, yes, I do, yeah.
They came down, and the Amish primarily are farmers, but they're also very good tradespeople.
Yes.
And they came down to those people with truckloads of timber, and they made little cabins, little self-sufficient cabins beside the house. So while the house was being fixed,
Yeah,
the family could live in it.
They could, yeah.
And now FEMA and the state
Yes.
authorities are saying that no, you can't stay in the cabin; it's unsafe.
Yeah.
So it's so
Well, look at
clearly
Maui.
a
Look at Maui in
Yeah.
Hawaii last year. There was a huge fire that swept through a whole section, and it was only on certain streets, and literally complete devastation.
Mhm.
And all of that population are gone from that area. They're not allowed back. They're actually still. It's under a 24-hour quarantine. You cannot go back in again. And they were given a measly $750, kind of a lifeline to, get necessities. What good is $750, especially in the American economy? €750 or dollars. It's an absolute joke. But on the fine print as well, basically, just said that if you don't, this is not government assistance, it's a loan. And if you don't pay it back within a year, we're taking that property that was destroyed. So that section of land, that section where your house was on, is gone. They've taken it. If the people don't know that, if the people didn't read the small print.
Have you ever seen much about that HARP?
Oh yes, the weather modification. Yeah.
Well, it seemed to me by combination of that and then what you're referring to with the chemtrails of that you would be in a fairly good position to manipulate any weather pattern that you saw fit, like, you know.
Well, I know. I lived in America for a while. Well, it's going back now. I'd say close to 30 years. But I remember going to a wedding, and one of my friends was getting married, and I was kind of privy to kind of some of the wedding preparations, and the wedding planner stated to the couple, would you like to have the day sunny? Would you like the day sunny? And they were like, oh, you know, we looked at the weather, we're not sure, there could be rain showers. And she goes, oh, well, there is a company that will guarantee that, because they were having the wedding at home. They had a big marquee at the back of the house, so they were having the wedding at home. So she said that, you know, we can pay this company, and they will go up the day before, and they'll spray the sky, and you'll be guaranteed a beautiful sunny day over your house. And that was 30 years ago. So where have they come?
Could do with them in Sligo till you have sort of right.
But imagine that's what they were offering 30 years ago as a wedding package, that they could hire a company that would pop up into the sky, spray something in the sky, and that couple would be guaranteed a sunny day on their wedding. And that was 30 years ago.
Well, you see, that's where they get badly caught out a lot of the time, is because a lot of the time with these ideas, there was documentaries made when the idea was being being thought of. So if you go back to airplanes with chemical attachments and all that, you can get documentaries from the 70s, 80s where they're showing you, you know, we think this is how it's going to work.
Yeah.
Here's the setup. And then all of a sudden, now, 2024, you're meant to go, no, that couldn't happen. Well, let me point to where they were trying to design this, you know, and here's the documentary where you can quite clearly see the canisters and you can quite clearly see what's coming out of them, you know. Yeah. But it's one of those, I think there's an awful lot of people who, you know, RTE is on in the telly, and I'm going to just go with whatever that television tells me.
But what is RTE? It's the state broadcaster.
That's right.
So what is broadcasting? Casting is spreading a message.
Yeah.
The message is being cast on the people.
Yeah.
It's brainwashing.
Yes.
That's what it's saying. It's broadcasting. So it's casting the spell. It's casting the spell.
Television program. Television programming. You're being programmed.
You're being programmed, absolutely, 100%. And if anybody is listening to this broadcast, you need to switch off that box in the wall, and you definitely do not need to have your children watching it. I would definitely be
brainwash box.
I would definitely be urging parents to get reading books, spend time with your children, but definitely do not be allowing them unattended to be watching anything on that propaganda machine.
Well, PR, I think we're going to finish the first hour.
Jesus!
We'll get it.
You're not going to inflict your audience with more of me.
Oh, I am.
For heck's sake.
We're going to get into far more.
I want to before we finish, James, I just want to apologise to the listeners. Don't disregard everything I'm saying. I'm waffling now at this stage, and also as well for our astute members that My hands are moving here and that, okay? I'm cold. I'm freezing. I'm not doing any weird signs or anything. Just to make sure, in case somebody throws up a telegram. Oh, she was doing a Mason sign there. I'm cold. I'm cold.
Oh, we done the lion's paw handshake. He missed it. It was very good. So it was. Yeah. She had to turn her ring inside that you wouldn't see the symbol. Yeah. No, we're going to finish up the first hour, and then we're going to move to Patreon for the second half. So if anyone would like to support the show, head to Patreon. The James Conway experience on that, EXP, and all that. You'll find it anyways. But Patricia, I want you to share that poem you read earlier.
Oh, yes,
because this is going free to air, so I want as many people to hear it as possible, because I thought it was very good.
Yeah, last week I was just on Telegram and somebody posted it up on Telegram, and you know, I am a lover of my people. I'm a lover of who I am, my heritage, my culture, my tradition. This poem was wrote by A.J. Lawless, so I don't take any credit for it. It's A.J.'s work. But I'll just go ahead and say it. It just resonated with me, especially with everything that's going on at the moment here in Ireland. And I just think it's very, very important that we stand in our culture and our traditions. So the poem goes like this. We are the past, we are the present, we are the future, we are the forebearers, we are our history, we are brave warriors, we are stoic, we are kind and compassionate, we are our traditions, we are our customs, we are our music, we are our literature, we are our faith, we are our mythology, we are our folklore. We are our sky and our sea. We are our rivers and our land. We are our valleys and our mountains. We are our villages, our towns and our cities. We are the cold air and the warm breeze. We are the beating heart of this nation. Who are we? We are Irish.
Here, here. Lovely note. Thank you very much.
Goramahagat.
Goramahagat.
Slán agus Bannath.